you this morning on Today's Woman, a group of ladies ready to dish on everything from marriage to mommy mayhem. We have Dr. Janet Taylor, a psychiatrist here in New York, mother of 4. We have Carole Sullivan. She's a former newscaster, mother of 3. Journalist Heather Kahn is a mother of 5. And Lynda Lopez has 1 daughter and is a news anchor and co-chair of the UN Foundation Global Mom Relay. Ladies, great to have you all with us. Thanks so much for being here. Let's get the discussion started. Let's talk first. I mean, I know I have been invited to these parties, and you all have probably been guilted into them too. These jewelry, candle, kitchenware parties. Now, according to the Direct Selling Association, these home parties apparently are bringing in some major dough, $25 billion in sales. So is this a good thing, or is this a guilt trip, or many of us kind of, have to go along and end up buying? Let's start with, go ahead, Lynda.
My mom actually, and I think I blocked this out for a lot of years, but my mom actually sold Tupperware when I was very little. She started when I was about 5 years old. So because of childcare issues, I always went along with her to different parties. Yeah. And I think I probably had more than most people experience in their lifetime of those kinds of parties.
I think my mom still has Tupperware from those Tupperware parties.
But now I feel like I'm going to diss on your mom. But those parties feel like you're kind of scamming your friends. You're pressuring your friends into. That's the whole point. The host gets a lot of stuff. When I paid a friend, I told her I'll give you $20 so I don't have to go. I figured I'd be ahead of the game.
I disagree. I think at any time, if I can get together with my friends, and so what if you have to spend a few bucks? It's all about the company.
Social element.
Yeah, it's about the company, and the wine helps too.
I think if it's a very good friend, and if she's peddling some wares that I'm not that interested in, and I know it's going to be a $40 glass of wine,
right?
I will go support a friend. If it's an acquaintance I don't know well, I have to pick and choose. Usually these things are on a weeknight. You're extricating yourself from the family, from homework, from the carpooling. Right. Maybe I do want to go to these parties.
And for women it's hard to get out. And for moms who are working from home, I mean, this is a good way for them to make some money on the side as well, and have a little extra cash, right, Lynda?
And that's what you learn. That
sort
it's
of
really
speaks
about
to the
supporting
entrepreneurial
your
side.
friends. It's really like the ultimate sign of you support your friends. Sometimes supporting your friends is more than being the girl on the other end of the phone.
It is definitely the ultimate sign, because some of those places can just drain you. I mean, I went to a neighbor party, and I did it solely because my kids had terrorized the neighborhood just with so much noise. Then I thought, well, $100 in jewelry might just make a friendship here. So I went with it.
Did it work?
It did, actually.
Okay,
she told
there
me she
you go.
loved my
All
kids.
right, but truth be told, when I do get those Evites,
yes,
I kind of dread them.
Well, and I think you do.
Truth be
You have to
told.
pick and choose carefully, and maybe also go knowing you're going to spend a little bit of money, right? Can't avoid that. Okay, next topic: sexless marriage. Now, sexless marriage apparently is defined as couples who only have sex 10 times a year or less. Now, some women apparently say it's okay to live in a sexless marriage. Dr. Janet, do you think they're really telling the truth when they say, I'm fine, I don't need to have sex?
Well, actually, I think they probably are not telling the truth, because if you're in a marriage, in a relationship, I think physical intimacy is important. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual intercourse, but I think you need someone to rub you on the back or say how you're doing and have that ability to care for you. But there are also women who said they'd rather sleep than have sex as well, which speaks to how stressed we are and how that interplays in relatieships.
Sexless marriage doesn't mean there isn't love, though, right?
Intimacy. I mean, that seems to be a totally different thing than sex. And I think sometimes sex can be a barometer. And if it isn't happening, maybe it isn't because you don't love your spouse or who you're with, but because you have other stresses in your life. And I do think people are telling the truth. They say, I can go without, because life's just overwhelming.
You know what I say? It's a team-building activity.
Team building. Okay.
As a
mother of 5, it takes a team.
as a mother of 5 and as a mother of 1 young child,
right.
No matter what. And I don't like when people feel guilty complaining to me that their life is tough. They say, I only have 2, though. I can't complain that I'm tired because you have 5. We're all tired.
And Lynda, you're a single mom, so it takes on a different meaning.
I probably have a different take on it, but I would agree that really we talk about sometimes what we can live with as opposed to what we want and what we need. I think probably a lot of women can live like that. But, for me, it was about making a choice about, am I happy? Who am I with? Are they making me happy? Is that really looking deep down and knowing, what's going to make you happy? Because your happiness is your kid's happiness, and your sadness is your kid's sadness.
Dr. Taylor, and whether or not women are happy with their situation or not, what are some things they should be doing to, improve on what they have?
Well, I think you can focus on the relationship and understand it's not the quantity of sex, but the quality of the relationship. So at all times, try to minimize conflict, find something nice to say to your partner, and ask for what you need. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need.
And sometimes it takes a first step, and not both being stubborn, maybe you've had an argument, you've had a stressful day, and it's sort of, we can be childish sometimes as couples, and you need to extend the olive branch. And what I always say is, and sorry to embarrass him, but as tired as you are, if you can reach out and you have a loving night, and I think it's called making love because you're creating and reminding each other of the love that you have.
Right.
I don't think it's called that for no reason. Then it does seem to follow that good feelings follow and a good cycle and a good pattern follows. We all get into a rut, but we have to help each other sometimes get out of it and maybe be the bigger person and extend the branch.
All right, ladies, let's talk about the subject of mean girls existing after high school. Now, apparently new research that was out in the Huffington Post explains that mean girls doesn't dissolve when you graduate from high school, that apparently goes on into college. And we were just talking during the break, it continues on even now as we're adults. Have you all experienced this? And Janet and Heather, you both have 4 daughters each, so I imagine your girls have experienced this somewhat.
Well, I have one of my daughters who just entered the workplace, and she was telling me about one of her bosses who she felt just targeted her, emailed her on the weekends, told her she never did a good job. And, that protective side of me imagining when she was 6 jumped out. I mean, I wanted to confront the person. I couldn't. But you have to support your child and your daughter and teach them that now that they're adults, they can choose what to listen to and figure out a way to make it work. But that feeling of despair never goes away.
Okay,
and never
Carole,
fight
Heather,
meanness with meanness. I mean, I do have 4 daughters, and even the little one, she said something to me that was so telling the other day. She said, fancy girls are mean. Sometimes the fancy girls are mean. And and I said, well, you can't always judge from the outside, and you can't. But I think, felt sometimes she's a little quieter, felt a little bit left out on the playground by some of the bigger personalities. And at that age, they're not mature enough to welcome somebody in who looks left out. Now, at our age, we should be.
It starts at the playground, but then it continues sometimes in the mommy groups at the playground,
it's that theme of when you recognize someone feeling left out or feeling down, why would you want to pour acid on that and make it worse? If we can learn as women to lift each other up, and corny as it sounds, share a sisterhood, we can change the world because it starts with us in our homes.
And the reality is it still hurts, but I think as adults and as women, I mean, my group of friends, if we have someone who's not nice or always complains, we drop them.
Yeah.
And maybe
so you
that's
find
you need to be careful about
you need to find your support.
Surround yourself with. I mean, don't just, sometimes women want to be social, and that's our nature, and we just want to get into a circle. But maybe evaluate the circle before you get into it, because some of them can be dangerous. Now, the good thing about mean girls, they usually implode. In my experience, people who are mean,
they self-destruct.
They always do. I mean, one woman I know targeted another and almost ate her alive. And sure enough, she imploded. Took about 2 years. But her life and her rottenness just went right down the drain.
We were talking about, like, in the workplace, competitive workplace situations. I mean, do you see more of that mean girl come out? I think we've all, as those of us who are newscasters, have experienced somewhere on our way up.
It's true.
A little bit of that.
We were all saying that we've all done news, and we were all surprised about how going into your first news experience, if you just got your first anchor job or the first big break, you were surprised that there were all these women around who were not nice to you, or you walked into a situation.
But then you get the one or the two, hopefully.
We've all lucky enough to have one we found out.
And you know what else? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think this is so important that if you look at why people are mean, I think it comes from insecurities within themselves.
It's all those haters out there. It's like the Anne Hathaway haters.
And maybe instead of hating them back, we just feel empathy. And like you said, kill them with kindness.
Right. And teaching our daughters that too, I think.
But women can be assertive, and sometimes we have to be careful because we walk into the workplace and people will label someone as mean when in fact they may be assertive, they may know what they want, and that label follows them. So I think you have to really look at each situation individually and see what you can learn from it.
We're judgy. I mean, women are judgy.
Women are catty and gossipy.
I mean, we're judgy. Even when we're trying to help, even our advice in trying to help someone comes off judgy.
Well, ladies, let's keep this discussion going for next time, all right? Great to have you all here.